Hello. I'm going to let the viewers come in. I'm going to give it a minute and let the viewers come in.
Come on in, viewers. We're waiting for you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Tawana Collins Boo.
And I'm Arnell Brady, speech language pathologist.
Welcome to AFU Presents Blue Table Talk. AFU is All Families United. It's a non-for-profit organization specializing in helping parents and children with special needs. I'm the mother of George Booth Jr., who was diagnosed with autism at the age of 4. George is 18 years old now and is attending the University of Illinois at Chicago. As you all know, April is Autism Awareness Month, and usually I like to do Autism Facts Friday, but this year I wanted to do a little bit more. So I was like thinking, like, what can I do? So I was like, Jada have her red table talk. So I was like, she's out there spreading her words, talking to her celebrities. So I'm like, let me do Blue Table Talk, where I can spread awareness about autism. So today I wanted to give a little information about, speech therapy services. George has been coming to Mr. Arnell Brady's speech services for over 14 years. So I wanted Mr. Arnell Brady to talk about some of the services that he has worked with George over the years.
Okay. As you just said, Mrs. Booth, George has been coming to me for quite a while. And speech language pathology, as most people know, has an awful lot to contribute to the management of autism. Because as we all know, one of the primary difficulties with autism is a significant delay in social communication. Matter of fact, it's probably the primary one when it comes to behavior and adapting in your environment and even achieving academically in school. We like to take the approach that the human brain can be changed, even though a person is born with a condition like autism, which we know is a neurodevelopmental disorder. Even though that person is born with that condition, the human brain can be changed in terms of making it more functional. And this is the basic approach that we took with George.
Yeah.
We saw his behavior. We saw that he was having difficulty comprehending, comprehending speech. And oftentimes when a child has difficulty comprehending speech, their behavior will be out of sync with what's going on in the environment. Because if you give a child, say, directions in speaking to the child to, pick up your socks or go to bed, and they don't understand and do something totally different, that frustrates everybody in the environment. It frustrates the child because the mother will be saying, hey, didn't I tell you to pick up your socks, or didn't I tell you to go to bed? And the child is frustrated because he doesn't understand. But now all of a sudden, mommy is raising her voice. Mommy might even do a little pushing. I said, get in the bed. I said, pick up your socks. So we see a situation in which there is almost a crisis.
Okay.
And what that child needs is to be able to better understand And this is the approach that we took with George. As we worked with George, we got George onto a program called Fast Forward.
Yes.
And Fast Forward is an auditory training program. An auditory training program that helps the brain to grow better, helps the brain to become more active in the processing of sound signals. And basically, that's all speech is sound signals. And it helps the child to be able to remember better those sound signals, to be able to put sound signals together and understand greater utterances, to be able to process those sound signals faster than, I'd say, a person with autism might process sound, but they process it so slow that they oftentimes have huge gaps in what was said. And so this program helped the child, helped George tremendously in being able to process sound a lot faster. But I must say that while we have all of these programs, these interventions, it's really on the parent. The parent has to enable the child to fit into a rigorous regime, a schedule. At one point, George was coming 4 or 5 times
right,
a week.
I was just finna say to tell our viewing audience about how often you have to come, to get Fast Forward, and how long it takes. An hour, 30 minutes a day, because I was coming every day. For weeks. So can you tell the viewers about, the time and the weeks and the different steps of Fast Forward? Because it was different steps of Fast Forward.
Well, in the therapy world, we often say that the greatest predictor of a child's success is the attitude and the expectations of the parent.
Okay.
If the mother wants that child to achieve, in most cases, that child is going to achieve. As you know, Mrs. Booth, you started my Hell No Mamas Club. And the Hell No Mamas Club was a group of mothers who said to the diagnosis that the doctors had given them, autism, attention deficit disorder, behavior disorder, learning disability, they said, hell no, and began to follow the schedules and the routines that was required. Yes, Fast Forward is a very intensive program in which when George started, it was 90 minutes a day, 5 days a week for 8 weeks. And then it began to expand. It began to expand to Fast Forward 1, then Fast Forward 2. Then he went to Reading 1, Reading 2, Reading 3, and Reading 4. George completed the whole program.
Yes, he did.
And now, what do we see? George is in college.
Yes.
George is driving. George's social communication and social behavior is, I don't want to say normal, it's better than normal. He's quite an achiever. And we have had a number of children that have been able to go through the program and have become achievers as a result of what the parents expected and wanted for their child.
Okay, so like I said, I wanted everyone to learn, since this was Autism Awareness Month, I wanted everyone to learn about some of the programs that we had here at Brady Speech. And Fast Forward was one of the main programs that it really did help George. But it was a lot. You had to come here every day, and like you said, 90 minutes a day. But I wanted to help, so we did what we had to do. So, but it's an excellent program, and a lot of people don't know about Fast Forward. So that's the reason why I wanted Mr. Brady to speak about Fast Forward, and we're going to talk about some other programs too. But this is a very important program to me because I feel like it would help, you know, some of our kids, because it really did help George. So that's why I wanted.
Fast Forward is only one of its kind in the world. It came out in 1998.
Okay.
And at the time when George started, it was 90 minutes, 5 days a week for 8 weeks in a row. But now it's cut down. I have a number of students who only do 3 days a week, and they do 50 minutes. They have bettered the program, refined it so that they're using the maximum amount of effort in the shortest amount of time. What Fast Forward does is it takes the human brain all the way back to infancy, because the infant only hears sound frequencies. They don't hear words, you know, they don't hear sentences. They only hear frequencies, and those frequencies are things like that. This is why a 4-week-old infant is able to recognize its mother's voice in a crowd of women, because at 4 weeks, the human brain is capable of learning. And so it's learning the frequencies of its mother's voice. And as you know, all human voices are different, even though some of them might sound the same. They're all different when it comes down to those frequencies that are involved in the production of that voice. And so the child, the infant, learns the frequencies. And so the Fast Forward programs takes them back to that stage in life where the child has to hear frequencies and be able to sequence those frequencies. And then it takes it into syllables and words and phrases. And as we said, it takes you into the reading process. And George went through all of that and went through it quite successfully. We know there were some times that children, they don't want to go. They're doing the same old thing. But their mother says, oh, you going.
Oh, no, and he was going because I wanted to help. So.
But I must say, the program is very attractive. The children love to play the games. The games have been very creatively developed, and it entertains them while they're playing. Underneath this entertainment is the science of Fast Forward. It's the science of retraining the brain, helping the brain to develop greater ability to process sound. And we have seen many children that have gone through who have sound sensitivity. It helps them it helps the brain to develop, and they can tolerate more different types of sounds, loudnesses of sounds. It helps to really discipline the child, because when you have to work for 30 minutes, 45 minutes on a daily basis, or even 3 or 4 times a week, that helps to develop discipline. And I think that discipline carries over into schoolwork. It carries over into doing household chores. And I've had many parents say that, wow, you know, since my child has been going through this program, they just seem to be so much better. They seem to understand more. They seem to cooperate better. They seem to finish tasks better. And so, you know, and some people talk about the expense of the program, but to me, it's not that expensive, because when you talk about the value of a human life, when you talk about the value of the contributions that a person can make to society if they're capable of adapting, if they're capable of understanding what's going on around them and organizing what's going on around them, then it's less of a burden on everybody. So some people say you either pay up front or you pay on the end. If you wait to pay on the end, in most cases, it's a lot more expensive than paying up front. Sure, it's some sacrifices that we all must make. I'm really disappointed in a sense that it's not more widespread and used in the African American community. When George Vallis was the head of the schools, he brought the program into the Chicago public schools. Because Paul Vallis, because he has a son who has learning disabilities, and he saw the great advantage in the program. But the educators got to fighting over who was going to administer the program, and so they just kicked it out because it created such a squabble. But it is still offered in many private clinics like this, and some schools have it. And a lot of school systems have even bought it for their students. When Paul Vallis left Chicago, he went to Philadelphia, and it was head of the school system there, and he brought Fast Forward, and over the summer, there was significant improvement in the reading scores of the public school students in Philadelphia because during the summer, they were doing Fast Forward.
Well, Fast Forward was definitely worth the money spent, and it was definitely a help to George. And that's the reason why I wanted to make sure that I talk about that's wanted to be the first services that I talked about today at the Blue Table Talk, because Fast Forward was very important in making George, the college student that he is today. So, if you all would like to learn more about Fast Forward or any other services, if you like to know about, because this is not going to be the only Blue Table Talk. So if you leave in the comment section some services that you would like to know about or some questions that you would like to ask, so we can get those questions and services out to you for the next table talk. Yeah, oh, we have a question? Okay.
Can you start Fast Forward at any age?
Generally, we expect the child to be at least 6 or 7. Yes, because they have to be able to work the computer. But we also now have it on the iPads, but they still have to be able to work the computers and have to be able to sit. Yes. So, but we also know adults using Fast Forward. I've had some physicians who had difficulty passing their boards because of attention issues to do Fast Forward. I've had attorneys who wanted to improve their listening skills to do Fast Forward. I've had many people who've had strokes to rebuild their auditory system. So I would say after 7 years of age and all the way up until any age, past 7 or 6 or 7, I would say yes.
And like I said, George is still coming to Brady Speech. He's 18 years old, and we still come to Brady Speech on a regular basis.
And I could say that George is doing really, really well in developing his cognitive skills and also that reading comprehension. He is doing extremely well. As a matter of fact, the one good thing about government insurance, and I hope I'm not putting your business out there, is that government insurance will not only pay for rehabilitative services, but government insurance, federal insurance, will also pay for habilitative services. And that is that it will pay to not only help you recover lost skills, but it will also pay for you to develop skills.
And that's a blessing right there. We got another question? Okay.
Can the software be used at home?
Yes, definitely. And this is what we have really pushed. Now, when we had it with George, we were using discs, those CD discs, in the CD-ROM players. And the students had to come in. But over the years, now it's been, 21 years Fast Forward has been out there. And so now they have put it on the iPads, and most of the students that are doing Fast Forward today are doing Fast Forward at home. Because me, as the guide, can monitor what they are doing over the internet.
Now, in my day, I was working at night, and I was coming here. So I wish that when George was younger, right, that they had it how they have it now. But I actually had to come to Dr. Brady's office 5 days a week, and I worked at night. So it's easier now. I wish that they had that in my day.
Technology has really made it a lot better.
Is there a website to get information about all the programs?
Yes, you can go on www.scientificlearning.com, and there is a parent section that you can review all of the programs. You can look at the science behind the program, and you can look at availability, and that is finding a provider in your area. I am a provider here in the Chicago area. I don't know of too many fast forward providers, unfortunately, in the Chicago area. But if you're going to go to Barrington, or if you want to go to Arlington, or if you want to go to Orland, Franklin Park, you might be able to find a provider. But there's not many providers in the Chicago area. I think there are a couple of providers on the far north side of Chicago. But you can go on that website, scientificlearning.com, and look for a provider that would be in your zip code or near it.
Or if you're on the south side of Chicago, you can come right here to Brady's Beach, 5228 South Blackstone Avenue. Or give them a call, 773-493-4000. So if you have any more questions, you can leave them in the comments. And we're going to have Blue Table Talk coming up next week because we're going to talk about more services. This was just the beginning. I thank you all for viewing us. And if you want more information about AFU, you can contact us, All Families United, and like us on Facebook, or you can give us a call at 234-7459. And please share this video as much as you can. And we thank you so very much for coming to Blue Table Talk. AFU presents Blue Table Talk. So thank you all and good night.
Night.